So, today we're going to unpack one of the most profound and frankly baffling spiritual texts out there, the Diamond Sutra. At its very heart is a riddle, about 2,500 years old, about what reality is, what the self is, and it's something that has had people scratching their heads for centuries. And believe it or not, it all kicks off with a surprisingly simple question.
So picture this. The Buddha is hanging out with his monks, and one of his best disciples, a guy named Subhuti, asks for some advice. Now, Subhuti is a bodhisattva, which is basically someone who, out of incredible compassion, promises to help every other living thing reach enlightenment. So he's asking a pretty practical question. How do I do this? How do I master my own mind so I can be of service to everyone else? Sounds pretty straightforward, right? Well, the Buddha's answer is anything but.
And there it is, the core riddle. The Buddha says, yep, a bodhisattva has to vow to lead every single being in the whole universe to nirvana, that ultimate state of freedom. But then he drops this total bombshell, this mind-bending twist. And yet, no being at all has been led to nirvana. Wait, what? How can both of those things possibly be true? To solve this, we have to go straight to the source of all our confusion. To even begin to wrap our heads around the Buddha's answer, we have to take on the biggest obstacle first, our whole idea of what a self even is. You know, we tend to think of our mind as something we need to build up, to strengthen, to perfect. The Buddha's teaching, though, it's way more radical than that.
This is such a great way to look at it. We usually think our mind is the tool we're going to use to get enlightened. But here, the mind is actually presented as the obstruction. It's like this huge, heavy rock filled with all our ideas, our beliefs, our ego, and it's blocking the natural flow of truth, which is like a little spring trying to bubble up. The job isn't to polish the rock or make it look nicer. The job is to get the rock out of the way entirely.
And this slide really shows us where we're headed. The goal isn't to get a supermind, but to realize no mind. On the left, you see mind. It's struggle, it's noisy, it's full of conflict. But no mind on the right, it's effortless, it's silent, and it's peaceful. It's not something you build. It's the natural state that's just there once the block is gone. This right here is the radical surgery of the Diamond Sutra. The Buddhist path doesn't add anything to you. It actually takes everything away. It dismantles your beliefs, your plans for the future, and then, the big one, the very idea of a permanent, separate self, or an I. And what's left isn't some scary, dark void. It's a pure, unbounded, innocent emptiness. That's nirvana. So you see, the goal isn't to save the self. It's to realize it was an illusion all along.
Okay, so if there's no permanent self, what does that mean for our friend the Bodhisattva, who vowed to save every single being? We have to re-examine their whole mission now through this new lens of no self.
It just makes sense, right? If there's no fixed permanent self or soul to be saved, then the Bodhisattva's job can't be what we normally think of as salvation. They aren't some kind of savior collecting souls. No, their compassionate work is to be more of a guide, someone who helps other people see through their own illusions. They help others recognize that their own suffering and their own self isn't as solid as they think. They're just helping others remove their own rock.
So how do they actually do this? It's this beautiful three-step process. First, there's the vow. I'm going to lead all beings to nirvana. Second, there's the method. They do it without any concept of a giver, a receiver, or even a gift. And third, you have the result. Just by acting without seeking any reward at all, they gain this immeasurable heap of merit. It's the ultimate paradox of selfless giving.
And now, let's go all the way back to that first riddle. It should really start to click into place. Sure, countless beings are guided toward liberation, but, and this is the whole point, since the very idea of a separate being or self was an illusion to begin with, in ultimate reality, no one was ever really trapped, and so no one was ever truly led to nirvana. It's like waking people up from a bad dream. You've absolutely helped them, but the characters in their dream, they were never really real in the first place.
Now, this might all be sounding a bit like abstract philosophy from a long time ago. But what is absolutely astonishing is that the Diamond Sutra has a direct message for us, living right here, right now.
Just think about that number for a second. 2,500 years have gone by since these words were first spoken. It's a huge ocean of time that separates us from that moment. And in the sutra itself, Subhuti actually wonders about this. He asks the Buddha if anyone, way off in the distant future, when the teachings might seem faint, will even be able to grasp this truth.
And this is the Buddha's incredible reply. He was literally talking about us. He said that even after 2,500 years, there would be people, bodhisattvas in their own right, really, who have been on the path for many lifetimes, and when they finally hear these words, they'll be ready. They'll just get it. They'll have the capacity to understand the truth of it. He was making a prophecy about his future audience, about you.
So, we're left with this final, powerful question that gets right to the very heart of the entire teaching. You know, almost all of our fear, our anxiety, our worry, it's all rooted in trying to protect this thing we call me or I. But if this self isn't a solid, permanent thing, but just a temporary collection of thoughts and illusions, then what is actually being threatened? If there's no self to save, then really, what is there to be afraid of?